I'm Erica Lynn, and we all know the ocean is the most demanding environment on Earth, consistently testing the reliability and durability of our equipment. When you spend as much time fishing as I do, you know that reliable gear is essential for staying on the water. This is why I went with the Abyss battery to power my trolling motor, electronics, and outboard. The guys at Abyss Battery are rattling the saltwater industry by manufacturing performance marine batteries specifically designed for sonar, outboards, trolling motors, and electronic fishing reels. They're also Bluetooth compatible, so I found checking battery statuses right on your phone while you're out on the water is a huge game changer. To learn more about why Abyss batteries are used by the pros and factory installed by premier boat builders, visit abyssbattery.com.
Hello and welcome to the Publicly Challenged Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Oswald, and I hope you join me on my quest for knowledge to become a better public land hunter, angler, and forager. Stick with this and who knows, maybe we will learn something together. Okay, so I'm sitting here and I've got Dayna Monroe on the line. So Dayna, I'm just going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. So I'm Dayna Monroe. I live in Denver, Colorado. I work at a company called Kifaru International. I am originally from Utah, central Utah, small town. I've always loved the outdoors, but I've never really gotten into the whole hunting thing until the last few years, and just kind of dove right in. And now I'm working for, one of the in my opinion, the coolest hunting company in the whole hunting industry. So that's
Well, let's
kind of where
just
I'm at.
get right to it there that you cannot beat the fact that American made quality materials from sourced from America
Yeah.
and made here. That is something that's hard to find today. And
Yes.
especially with these trying times that we're going through right now, I think that's even of more importance because we've seen what happens to production as things happen in other countries. And we also know that viruses and other things could possibly be shipped here. But it's I think that's very important, and not only that, but to stimulate and support the local economy, create jobs. That's an amazing thing to have and also be part of.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I'm kind of curious though because you and I talked a little bit before we started the recording, but how did you actually get to work at one of the coolest companies in America in the hunting industry?
Oh, it's a really funny. I mean, it's just so random. I went to the Western Hunt Expo in Salt Lake a few years ago, and just kind of walking around, um I met uh Brian that earlier that day, and and told him, I'm like, hey, where's Aaron? I'm really interested in meeting him as well. And so I came across Brian. Brian's like, hey, let me introduce you to Aaron, he's right here. And then I just started talking to Aaron. Clicked with him right off the bat. We were just, conversation was great. And then um I just talked more and more with him, met him and Frank. um spent some time with them at the expo, and then stayed in contact with them after the expo. And I came out to Colorado to visit my sister and went on a hike with them, and then stayed in contact. And then a few months later I was talking to Frank, and he was like, hey, come out here and work for us. And I was like, wait, like, are you serious? And I think I asked him about 3 times if he was actually serious. And he's like, yeah, we have an open position. I think you'd be good for it. So, you should really think about it. And so, uh, I talked to, I wasn't really serious about it at first. And then I talked to my mom, and 3 weeks later I moved to Colorado. So it all just kind of whirlwind into this, this life.
So that's pretty awesome. Um, I gotta ask though, let's rewind it a little bit then, because at that point you were already into hunting or it had piqued your interest, right? Because you were at the Western Hunting Expo. Um,
Yes, yes. So
and
I
if you knew who Aaron was and you knew who Brian was, you were watching Gritty at the time, YouTube videos or something, right?
right. Yeah, I
Okay.
had just kind of gotten into the hunting, gotten interest into hunting not long before that. Um maybe 8 or so months before that I started getting into it more.
I gotta say I'm kind of jealous. I've never been to the Western Hunting Expo. I wanted to go this year, but it's like, how do you plan? Limited amount of time. You're still working a full time job,
Yeah.
whatever, and then trying to take time away to go and do all those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's a
but
crazy
one of
show.
these days I'll go out there. I got a buddy, Keith. If you're listening right now, Spike Bull. I told you I'd buy you a dinner or something when I come out there, and I will one of these days. But yeah. So okay, you're, what made you decide then? Because you said you have already peaked it, but I know you're an adult onset hunter and pretty new to it.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, what made you want to get into hunting? I mean, you didn't grow up around it or anything like that, or maybe it was around you, but you weren't actually part of it, right?
Right. Yeah. I was around it and my dad hunted my whole life, but I think what really got me into it was more I started getting more and more into fitness and more into, the health side of things, and that just drew me into the hunting side because I wanted to, provide my own meat and good sources of meat. And I think what really ended up like the what really drew me in was the bow hunting because my dad had been rifle hunting his my whole life, but um he bow hunted when he was younger, but once he had kids, he just didn't have time for that anymore. So that was what really drew me in and got me hooked was the bow hunting versus the rifle hunting.
Yes, it's definitely appealing. So, did you shoot archery at all before then, or no?
No, nope. I think I shot a bow for the first time at the Western Hunt Expo maybe the year before. Um, I think I just went one day and with my dad and we kind of wandered around and I shot a bow and I shot one arrow and I was absolutely hooked. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need a bow. I have no idea what I'm doing here, but I need a bow." Like that was so fun. And
Yeah,
yeah.
it is. I remember my first time. My dad, it was an old hand-me-down bow, and we kind of got it fitted to me and tuned, and my buddy had his compound bow, and I wanted to shoot with him. And I mean, it was brutal cold out, and we'd shoot like a bag target in the basement of my parents' house they just built because it was like super empty down there, right?
Yeah.
And it was like 20-yard shot most. But by the end of that winter, we were hurting arrows pretty bad. My
Yeah.
dad was like, "All right, you guys got to stop. Take it out." Because it was, breaking knocks off the big old double XL aluminum arrows back
Yeah.
in the day, and it was fun. But yeah, that definitely set my things in motion. And it was quite a few years later that I started hunting, but just the
Yeah.
archery aspect of it, and that's what I started out. I started out archery hunting long before I ever picked up a shotgun
Yeah.
or even a rifle.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
There's just something about it that I don't know what, but I love it. Like I just absolutely love it.
I think there's kind of a, like a primal appeal in a way. It appeals to something different. There's more of a connect
Yeah.
when you're drawn back, you're closer on an animal. You got to control your heart rate even more than when you're shooting a shotgun or something like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's definitely a different mindset.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
the
for
and the
sure.
proximity too, just the proximity, the fact that you're trying that much harder to be that much quieter,
Yeah.
stealthier, getting on that animal. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to be that much better to get in that closer or that close to an animal for, to be successful with a bow.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about that then. Um, your first hunt, you did Hawaii hunt.
So the first animal I killed was an antelope with a rifle down here, down in southern Colorado. That was that was kind of like my first, my first experience drawing blood. So it was, oh my gosh, it was a whole rush of emotions. But my first bow kill was in Hawaii. Yes.
So what was like? I mean, what was going through your head? I mean, did you have like a mentor? Did you have a mentor or somebody with you
Yeah.
when you were doing it, so you could at least like rely on them for okay, is it ethical? Is it good? Is it
Yeah.
what was that like?
Yep. So I have a friend out there on Maui, and he was with me pretty much the whole time, and he knows kind of my skill level. He's like, all right, if you're comfortable with this, go for it. There's an animal right there. It's a good animal. If you're comfortable, then let your arrow fly, and I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what was like the range of emotions though when you're antelope? I mean, it's obviously your first antelope. That's
Yeah.
something entirely different. I remember mine. Of course, my buddies were there. It was like you had to play the macho card in front of your bros, right? And it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, no. I mean, I don't know if I thought about it as much because I mean, obviously, you know, there was other things that have been killed, small game and whatnot, but like your first big game with a bow, I think it was for me, it was more like just straight up excitement that like, man, I worked 3 years for this, 4 years for this, however long it was before I ever shot one with a bow. When it happened, it was more excitement just to contain myself,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
try and play it cool.
Yeah. It's crazy because you do work so hard, and I mean, with a rifle, you can go out, shoot a couple shots, get zeroed in, and there's not a whole lot of work that has to go into that. But with a bow, I mean, if you're for me, I know a lot of people don't do this, but I practice year round. I am in the archery shop year round. Once it gets warm enough, I'm out at 3D courses. I practice for September all year long. And my other hunting that I've been lucky enough to do, but there's so much work that goes into it that it's like that rush of accomplishment once you arrow that animal that just rushes over you, and it's so much relief and just appreciation for all your hard work.
Definitely, definitely. But I hear you keep your cool during your shot.
Yeah,
So
surprisingly well.
someone on another podcast might have said you might have a little bit of ice in your veins.
I
Not
guess
naming
so.
any names, but he's probably your Yoda
Yeah.
for I mean, how great is it to work with somebody like that with that knowledge though? I mean, especially as like a newer hunter.
Yeah.
I mean, you could when he's around anyway, right? You could probably go to him and ask just about anything, you
Yeah.
know? I mean,
Yeah.
what what do you think's probably like the dumbest thing you've ever asked him or like embarrassing? Been like, "Hey Aaron, what do I?"
Well, I don't know if I've ever asked him. I mean, I'm sure I have. I'm sure I've asked him really dumb questions, but I save more of those questions for other people. I'm like, "Hey, I know this may sound stupid, but let me just ask you real quick." But
Right.
but he's really great. He does an awesome job of helping people get into the whole, hunting thing, and he keeps me on the right track doing it the right way. Like he doesn't want me getting lost in, the glamour of it. He he wants me to do it the right way, and he does a very good job of helping me whenever I need help. And
You ever
he's
watch
around.
Star Wars, Dana? Did
Yeah.
have you ever? Okay. So, I mean, he's like freaking Yoda. You have your own Yoda. You
He is.
realize that, right?
He is, but he's not around a lot. And a lot of people think they're like, "Oh, you have Aaron and Frank. You've got it so good," but I don't get to go out hunting with them. They do force me to do a lot of the work myself. Like they'll help me, with maybe with areas. They're like, I've seen some deer here. You could try here, you could try here maybe. But I mean, even if they do that, I still gotta go in there. I still gotta hike up the mountain. I spent pretty much all this last year, I was by myself almost every day this season, except maybe six days, I think. And and so everybody thinks I've got it a lot better than I do, but I mean, I still am very lucky to have them at my disposal for questions and all of that, but I'm still very much on my own in the whole process.
No, but I think that's good though. I mean that having that knowledge or that springboard to bounce your thoughts off of, and especially, I mean, the dude drops more knowledge, shares more information. I'm just saying, like realistically, he really does.
Yeah.
He shares anything, and I mean, I've seen Q&As that he's done on Instagram that are like, I don't even know how long they are, but I get tired and I exit out of them because I
Yeah.
can't take reading another question. And he'll do that for an entire day, and every answer he'll take time to answer every question.
Yeah.
And so I'm just, but the fact is, I mean, look at how many days a year that guy spends, how many animals he drops.
Yeah.
He knows those things, and you having that, just
Yeah.
able to ask him and actually talk to him about it. And I mean, that's cool. But I think just because you're not going out there with him, you're still. I mean, you've got the knowledge now. You've got the foundation that he's probably. You could ask him, anything,
Yeah.
pack whatever, and then go out and do it. And you're going to learn so much more by actually going out there and either doing it or failing or anything like
Yeah.
that, right? So
Yeah.
now you're just going to be that much better off. You're going to be way better than anybody else who's been tagging along with the mentor and not pulling their weight for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think like I mean, I wish I could go out with him. I wish more than anything I could go on a hunt with him and Frank just to learn from them because they've been doing it for so long. They are such like seasoned veterans and everything. But I mean, it is really good for me and they're like, "You know what? You need to learn this kind of thing on your own. There's no way to learn it other than being out there and making those mistakes." So they they do kind of force me to go out and learn some of those lessons the hard way. But I do take as much as I can from them so I can hopefully avoid some of them. But
I'll tell you what, I make mistakes every time I go out, but
yeah.
it's just it's a learning experience,
Yeah,
right? One of
that's
those
part of it,
that
the
yeah,
mistakes make you learn a whole lot quicker than any success does.
yeah. There's times when I thought I kicked something up and didn't have a chance or something like that, and I should have just stayed,
Yep,
waited for that animal to come back, and I didn't.
yep.
I don't know. I know one instance that I'm not going to get into details of it, but that deer got dropped, and I'm almost positive it's the same deer that I kicked up, and it was a monster. It's a record book deer.
Oh, wow.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Mistake. Mistakes are made.
Yeah.
But so, what do you think's the best piece of advice he's ever given you?
Whew. I don't know. Probably just to get out there. I mean, you're not gonna learn anything from your couch. Like, if you're not out there, you can't kill anything. So, get out there, and put some effort in, and hopefully if you work hard enough, you can make it happen.
That's true. Put the miles on and put the time in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not gonna kill an animal from the couch. So,
That's absolutely. I wish I had more time to get out.
yeah, me too. That's another thing is somebody's gotta be at the office to to work. So that's usually me.
So what are your actual roles there in the office then? What do you I mean, I know you're like social media stuff too, right? Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah, so I kind of recently within the last, I don't know, maybe 3 4 months, I've really gone into kind of strictly social media, marketing, stuff like that, and then I help with some of the customer service stuff. I'll fill in kind of when I'm needed, but I'm for the most part social media and marketing.
Gotcha. So, um, obviously, you know how to fit a pack and
Yeah.
tell people what they need to look for. You want to talk about that a little bit? Like, say somebody's looking to get a pack. What do they need to know? And then how do they adjust it or fit it once they get it?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is there's our system. uh, we have an external frame and like some internal frame type packs. So the first thing is you determine the application that you're going to be using it for. Because if you're going on a 10-day backcountry hunt, you're going to need something a lot different than if you're going on, you know, a hunt out in Illinois for the day. Sitting in a stand or just going to a blind, completely different applications. So, the best thing to do is definitely to call customer service or, message me on Instagram, something like that. But you really kind of narrow it down by size. And if the external frame is the option that you want to go to, we have so many different bags in so many different size ranges. And and really you just pick the one, within your size range that's going to work with your application, and then the one that you like the configuration the best, because we have so many pockets, accessories that you can add onto the bag to really customize it to meet your application and the needs y- the best for you. And then fitting a frame is really, there's some difficulty to it, but not a whole lot. We do have a couple different sizes, and if you're bigger, kind of the rule of thumb is about 5'10", 32-inch inseam. And we just take your height and inseam to kind of get your torso length. And we actually just released a video on our Instagram page kind of going over this. But about 5'10", 32-inch inseam can go with a 24-inch frame or a 26-inch frame. And if you're, I don't know, 6 foot to six, taller with a 32-inch inseam, or if you're even 6 foot with a 34-inch inseam, you're right in that range where you could go with a 24 or a 26. So if you're a bigger guy, maybe 6'1", 220, the size of Aaron, he can go with a 24-inch frame, but for those heavier loads, the 26 is going to benefit him a little bit more. So it's really based on your size, and if you do have questions, then it's best to contact us and get those answered.
So what is the larger frame? The extra height of the frame do then?
So that just helps. That it gives you more load lifting capabilities. So once you have it loaded up heavy, like you're packing an animal out, it makes that load a little bit more comfortable for you, the taller the frame is.
Okay. And then so where should the actual like the frame and the load lifters and stuff like that actually sit on a person?
Um, so it kind of depends on how much weight you have in the pack. If you have, your day gear for about 25 pounds, you don't want a very steep angle, because that's gonna uh make the pack kind of shift back and forth on your back. So the lower the angle, the closer the weight is to your body, and it's a little bit easier to maneuver. And I've played a lot around a lot with that myself, just because I run the 24-inch frame, which is maybe just a touch too tall, but I just run the load lifters a little bit lower, so it all works out for me. Um, but then when I have it loaded up heavy, I I move those load lifters up a little bit taller to about a 45-degree angle, and that gives me enough lift up off my shoulders to make that load more comfortable. So about, 60, 80 plus pounds, 60 for me because I'm I'm not as strong as Aaron, but for them,
60 is a pretty heavy pack. But for
yeah.
anybody, I mean, realistically, 60 pounds is a pretty heavy pack. I mean, I can understand it if you
Yeah.
like doing stuff he does, going out
Right.
10 days on a whatever hunt. But I mean, That's a heavy pack.
Yeah. Yes.
It's
Yes.
one thing if you're just packing something out, but which unfortunately I haven't been lucky enough to do yet. But
Yeah.
um, packing in 60 pounds, it's decent. That's I throw about 60. Normally about this time of year, I'm going out and I'm doing a lot of rucking,
Mhm.
and I throw in a 60-pound sandbag in my pack and head out and try and do as much conditioning as I can, even though I don't have the elevation,
Yeah.
which is a whole nother ball of wax to get into there with
Oh yeah.
elevation sickness and acclimation and that's I don't care what you do. There's
Yeah.
nothing to prepare you for that.
That's a whole other demon that you just cannot ever beat.
Well, that's like what elevation did you come from when you're out in Utah then? I mean, you had to be lower than where you're
It's
at now,
it's a little
right?
bit lower, but it's not significantly lower. I think it's, maybe 800 feet to 1,000 at most. And I really think it's probably closer between 600 to 800 feet. So
Oh,
not
that's nothing
not
then. Yeah,
significant,
that's
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Coming out like me where I'm like five something. That's or well, actually, I think I'm 480 something. So
Yeah.
right where I'm at, it's low.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, you gotta come
That's
in early to get acclimated to Denver before you go up into the mountains.
well, yeah. I was a little further south when I came up, but
Okay.
or came out west, but um, yeah, I think I was came in and whatever first town that we were in out there, I don't know, I think like 8,000
Yeah.
somewhere in there, 8,800 maybe at the high point of town. I
Yeah.
don't know. It was getting up there. Then we just went higher from there. It was not good, at
Yeah.
least for the first about 3 days, I'd say. Then it wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Then I was just wishing I did more conditioning.
Yep, I do that. I mean, I hike quite a bit once it gets warmer. Um, and even when I'm going up there, I'm like, man, I have trained so much. I hike, a few times a week at least. I'm in the gym. I feel like I'm fit. And then I throw a pack on my back and go hike and I'm I feel like I'm a new kid in school. It's just not prepared ever, but it's I don't think you can ever really be prepared for that, You can condition yourself as much as you can, but it's still gonna hurt no matter what.
Unless you spend about 180 days in the field, 150.
Yes. Yes.
Then you're doing all right, I'm guessing. But so let's get back to the packs a little bit though. Like
Okay.
where like your kidney belt and all that kind of stuff, where should that be riding on?
So it's kind of nice because the center of the belt is your indicator, and you want that stitch line that goes down the middle to rest at the top of your hip bone. So that rests right at the bony part of your hip, and
Hmm.
that's kind of the base of your fit. So once you get that belt in place, that's going to place the lumbar pad in the correct spot and just kind of set the fit for your whole frame.
And then like chest buckle or clavicle, I think that's the biggest one that like I'm always jacking with it, trying to adjust it because I'm either getting pinched or I loosen it up or raise it up higher, and I don't know. It seems like I never know how to adjust it right, and it's never quite comfortable.
Yeah. That that sternum strap across the front, honestly, I don't even wear mine usually. I'll wear mine to keep it out of the way of my bow so I don't have any malfunctions there. But once you get everything fitted correctly, because putting on our packs is, it's not like putting on any other backpack. You have to start with the load lifter's a little bit loose, the strap's a little bit loose, and get your belt on there first in the correct place. And then you cinch up your shoulder straps to where you've got good contact with your shoulder. And then you snug up those load lifters. And once you snug up those load lifters, it's going to pull up off your shoulder just a touch to where you can slide like your fingers uh, on the back of your shoulder. So there's just enough of a gap to where it's pulling up off your shoulders. And then from there, you really just want the sternum strap in the front in a spot where it will it'll ride comfortably for you. But the only function of that sternum strap is to keep the straps from splaying out off your shoulder. I see so many pictures where people tighten that sternum strap and just reef on it and pull it clear inside the like in the like the center of their chest, and that's just going to cause so many fitting issues and displacement for the load and make it a lot more uncomfortable for you carrying the load. So
I'm not gonna lie. I think I do that sometimes.
and and sometimes like that's kind of the beauty of our packs is sometimes the weight is designed to rest on your hips, and sometimes your hips are just going to get tired. So you can adjust the weight to where it's riding on your hips. Sometimes you can adjust, you reef on that sternum strap, get it to a little different spot on your shoulders. It's because once you have it so heavy, it's just going to be miserable. But you can, change where the load is riding on your body, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's like my first 10 ruck, I would say, and I crank on that strap. Just change the feel on my shoulders,
Mhm.
and then take the weight off, and then I'll switch. I don't know. I'm constantly playing with it, especially when your body's. I mean, if you're just not used to carrying that weight, when I go out and I start doing it, it's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then about the 10th time you're out there and you got you know 40 miles or whatever underneath your belt, then it's fine. Then you're, I guess, calloused up a little bit where you
Yeah.
don't have the
Oh,
sissy
yeah.
shoulders anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, my first few trips up when we go do backpack cardio, my first trips are oh, they're miserable. My whole body hurts so bad, but then, after third or fourth, you're like, "Okay, my body's a little bit more used to it. We can do this."
So you got into the fitness thing, and that's what got you into the meat, the pure meat, and the aspect of the hunting and the challenge, obviously, right? That's
Yes.
kind of where that went. But then, what would you say was kind of the hardest thing, like trying to get past or trying to learn when getting into hunting?
Um, I mean, I really struggled with all of it because I didn't have that person there to kind of help me get in the right get headed in the right direction. Obviously I had my dad, but he lived in my hometown, which was about 3 hours away from where I was currently living. Um, so I didn't really have him that close, and he didn't bow hunt, which is what I was more interested in doing. And I mean, I got into it all by myself. I had a lot of friends were that shot bows. I was a very frequent visitor of the archery shop. Shout out to Wild Arrow. Um, but I mean, I was there all the time. A lot of my friends there had their husbands, had boyfriends, something like that, that were there to take them out hunting or help them with this or that. And I was all by myself. I had no idea what I was doing. I was trying to get into this thing that I had no idea about, and I mean that whole part was really difficult. It was I didn't want to get headed down like the wrong road. I didn't want to be going off bad information, anything like that, but I wasn't really at a point where I knew what good information was. And so I just, I did all the research I could. I was online reading about hunting, everything I could find. I was reading, trying to determine what to take in, what to be a little bit more hesitant about. And so, I mean, it was all pretty difficult, but it was worth it.
So what was the first thing you went after them? Was it, I mean, other than the antelope, when you started actually going bow, was it when you went to Hawaii then?
Yeah, yep. That was the first. I think I tried to go out turkey hunting here in Colorado, but when I moved here, I moved here in the middle of August. and so I wasn't a resident in Colorado. I was like, um I didn't go
Yeah, that's a
hunting that first year. I tagged along, but I didn't hunt anything myself. And so I think I maybe went turkey hunting for like a day
right.
before that, but that was it. So nothing really all that intensive.
Yeah. I mean, plus an elk tag for a non-resident is not cheap,
And that's, I mean, I just moved here. I was like, I can't afford an elk tag, so I
right?
just tagged along and tried to learn from the people I was with.
So earlier you said all season. Were you talking elk season or like mule deer? Did you draw a mule deer tag or what?
Yeah,
What were you
so
going after?
so this last year, 2019, I just did an over-the-counter elk, and then I drew a deer tag. So because it was an over-the-counter, I put a little bit more focus on the deer tag, and I think I chased deer like 4 of the 5 weekends that I hunted in, and then I think I put in a couple days chasing elk, but I really focused on that deer tag, and I was with a couple friends for the first 5 days. We went out opening day, the first 5 days of the season, and then I was all by myself the rest of the season.
Did you guys backpack in or was it like a truck camp?
Yeah, we backpacked in, and then we ended up moving a couple different spots, uh, but and that goes along. Hunting partners are good hunting partners are very difficult to find.
Right. You gotta, yeah, definitely have to mesh with the person, especially if you're gonna be out there that long.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
and
figure some things out
yeah, that's
about each other for sure.
you've got to have the same ideas too. Because I was going out there, I'm like, all right, we're gonna grind, we're gonna put in 5 days in the high country, hiking, all this stuff. And they were like, oh, I don't even want to hike. And I was just like, I would,
What?
yeah, I was like, wait, wait, like, hold on. What? And
What are you gonna do?
yeah,
Truck spot? Is that what
yeah,
they're gonna do? Is road hunt?
yeah. I was like, you
Uh,
know, we kind of have to hike to find the animals. Like they're not just gonna come to us. And I mean, especially we're hunting deer. Like you can't call deer. And so that was a little that was eye-opening. That was very
right.
eye-opening for me. And
Well,
that was a
that's
big reason
yeah.
why I was by myself the rest of the season because I'm like, well, I've got me and I'm the only one I can count on right now, so let's go.
So did you backpack all the way in, or I mean, you were backcountry hunting by yourself out of your pack
Yes. Yeah.
for how many days did you do that? I'm curious.
It
This is
was
cool.
just it was just an overnight. So
Okay.
I did a solo trip scouting earlier in like mid-August. I went up around my birthday. That was kind of my birthday party was my solo backpacking trip. And
Sounds like a great birthday to me. I'm
oh,
just saying, but
yeah, it was awesome. And I mean, I never ever ever dreamed that I could do that by myself. I was terrified. I almost talked myself out of it hundreds of times, but I was like, "You know what? I need to go do this." And so I just did it, and it was awesome. I felt super accomplished, all of that. And then once hunting season came along, I'm like, well, I know I can do it by myself. So I hiked in and set up. I actually almost got a shot on a doe. I wasn't really, I mean, I'm not trophy hunting by any means. And I got my bow drawn back, but I wasn't able to get an arrow actually sent. The doe ran away. So, but
it happened.
it was a very good learning experience, and I mean, I learned a lot by getting up there and making the mistakes that I did.
How much extra crap did you have in your pack that you thought, oh my God, I'm never carrying this again? Because I know, like I think it was like day 2, I dumped a bunch of stuff, and then it was day 3, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even taking my, like, I had a pistol on my pack. I'm like, this is staying in the truck.
Yeah.
I don't need this. And then I had the bear spray, and it was like
Yeah.
day 4. I was like, you know what? You've got bear spray on your pack. What do I need that for?
Yeah.
My wife didn't like that response, but I'll tell you what, I did. I sure as heck felt a lot lighter.
Yeah, and I mean, when I go by myself, I do pack a pistol because I it's not necessarily the animals I'm worried about. It's honestly I'm worried about, maybe men being out there and being like, "Oh, here's this girl all by herself. Let's, take advantage of that." So,
That is a terrible thing to have to think about, and
yes.
I can honestly say, I mean, from like a man's perspective, I would have never even thought of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and
that's
men
that's
don't
kind of
really
a
have to think
scary, yeah.
about that, but as a female, I definitely have to think about that. So I do definitely carry a pistol, which is probably the heaviest thing that
Well,
I'm like,
yeah. I mean,
oh, why did I bring this? But I know I need that for that peace of mind.
heck yeah. That's especially. I mean, once it's like, I even thought about, okay, well, if I take my pistol with me and I drop out, like 5 rounds or 7 rounds out of it,
Yeah.
so I've only got a couple. And I'm like, no, that's stupid. Just leave the whole thing. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we were rifle hunting, so I mean, I did have
Oh yeah.
a rifle. So it was like, why carry 2 guns? This
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need to.
So yeah. So it was just one of them things that I was like, okay,
Yeah.
drop this weight.
Yeah.
Don't need that.
Yeah, other than that,
Yeah.
I mean, my pack was heavy, but not there was nothing like I went through it and I'm like, what can I drop and to drop weight? But there was nothing that I could take out. I've I've got my gear list pretty dialed just with all the summer backpacking that I'm able to do and then
Right.
like the scouting trips. I've got everything pretty dialed and I'll change a few things, depending on the weather, like the expected weather and just how cold, how warm it is and kind of gear changes, but not a lot that's inside my pack actually changes.
Yeah. I mean, I've even really taken my whole Western, like, other than, my pack with any overnight stuff or anything like that. But as far as like clothing, the layering, I use my Western hunting clothes for whitetail hunting here.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's crazy that, okay, I've got puffy layers that I pack in, and then I'll throw those on once I'm up in the tree stand, and then I've got my rain gear. So if the wind starts blowing, I'll put that on, and that's enough to block the wind. And I've got my insulation. It's crazy to think that, you know, most whitetail hunters are not wearing that or doing that. Really, I mean, it's starting to come around more,
Yeah.
but and then so I've got a little bit of advice for you
A
because
little
I know you went
different.
on that whitetail hunt. Um, you I heard you complaining about your feet being froze and
Oh
cold.
my gosh, they were so cold.
Well, I could tell you I've been through that a lot, especially whitetail hunting. You know,
Yeah.
here in the Midwest it gets cold, and I gotta say when you're not moving around, it's a little bit different. And the one thing I've learned, I've tried all different kinds of boots, and my biggest thing is my feet. They get hot, wet, and then they get cold.
Yeah.
So I mean, I had like 2,500 grams of insulate boots before, and I'd wear those, and it was okay, like climbing a ladder stand. But say you're using a climber, they don't even fit in the foot straps of the climber to climb up in the tree.
Yeah.
So I started wearing just Western hunting boots, uninsulated, almost all of the season.
Wow.
Or I wear my rubber boots that are like, I don't know, maybe I think like 600 grams of insulate, not much.
Yeah.
But the key is, last year I went out and I bought some boot covers. They're insulated boot covers,
Yeah.
and they're lightweight. You can roll them up or like slip them in an outer pouch or a sleeve of your pack. And then once you're up there in the tree and you're settled in, throw those on, and if it's really cold, you could take a hand warmer, throw it in there. It's like one of the greatest.
Ooh, yeah.
So we had that cold snap in November, and I mean it was like wind chill negative, double negative digits.
Yeah.
Didn't even notice my feet; they were not cold the
Wow.
whole time. I could not believe it was. It
Yeah,
was
you're
like
gonna
the
have to
greatest
send
thing
me a
ever.
link for those little boot
Absolutely,
covers.
but it was like, why have I not done this before? I
Yeah.
know so many hunts were ruined by the fact that I was just so cold
Yeah.
and my feet were froze and you're shivering and it's like
Yeah. Yeah,
you
there
feel
was
stupid.
one night in Wisconsin. I think it was
Well, you were there in November, right?
yeah,
It was like
I was
the
there
first 2 weeks of November.
the first week of November. So
Yeah,
we
that's when
hunted
it got cold.
Halloween, yeah. And oh my gosh, there was one night my feet were seriously numb and I and it was the tallest stand we'd been in the whole time. It was like we're like close to 30 feet in the air. And I'm sitting up there the whole time. I'm like, my feet are numb. Like I cannot feel my feet. I was terrified to climb out of the stand. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to feel my feet. I'm not gonna be able to feel the steps, and I am going to eat it down the street. And we're 30 feet in the air. Like,
That's I like to
oh
hunt super high like that, and there's a few people that I know that give me a lot of crap. You don't need to hunt that high. You don't need to be that high. I don't know. It just makes me feel invincible. That's why I like to do it. Okay, it's one of I like being that high.
yeah,
But oh, you're gonna put a bad shot. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. It's like, man, okay, maybe I will. Maybe I won't. If it makes me feel better, even
yeah.
though yes, the higher you get, the colder it is. That wind just cuts
Oh
right through. And then it's when you ground hunt, and I haven't ground hunted in a long time. I don't think I've ground hunted on public yet, which I probably should do.
yeah.
Because, but yeah, it's just that wind really cuts you when you're up there.
It does, and that was a whole new thing because, I've got my gear system dialed for Western hunting, and I'm like, oh, I mean, I probably have some idea what to expect out when I go out to the Midwest, and then I got out there and I was like, no, no, I had no idea what to expect, and
See,
I changed the first morning. I was like, all right, I am changing this and this and this.
that's where you should have taken that Lost Park with you.
Yeah, the problem with it is it's loud.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had it
Yeah.
with me,
Yeah.
but I was like, it's just a little too loud. So if I were to try to draw my bow with that on, I would get caught just right off the bat.
Yeah. I didn't realize, but okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. But yeah, it would have been a good because I love like I've got like a super compressible down puffy
Yeah.
that I always throw that in my pack for my top, and then I've got what are they? They're the full zip ones from First Light that are puffy, and I throw those in there too because they're so light,
Yeah.
and I mean that will make or break that extra layer. And sometimes I don't even put them on, but if I start getting cold, I will throw those on, and that makes it where I can stay out.
Yeah. Yeah, and
It's
I mean, if you're miserable out there and if you like your body's numb, you're not going to have a good time. And you may be able to endure it, but I would rather at least, I mean, I can handle the cold, but I can't handle being that cold. Like, not that miserable cold.
yeah, it gets brutal, but
Yeah.
that's my favorite. That's like my birthday time to hunt is the whitetail rut.
Oh,
So I mean, yeah.
those
So
are
I'm
the
out there. Yeah. So it always works out that my birthday, except for sometimes my birthday falls on shotgun season,
yeah.
and it kind of disappoints me a little bit
Yeah.
because most of the time, especially public here, it's site specific tag, kind of like a hunt unit, but it's just one piece of property,
Yeah.
and you don't always draw. So then obviously I'm sitting at home on my birthday, or I just go to work, and who wants to do that, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, definitely check out. I'll send you the link to those boot covers
Okay.
because I
Yes.
honestly felt stupid not. I d- and And my buddy and I talked about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've had some for years, but I never took them along because they were bigger, they were bulkier, and this and that." And so I went to the store and I bought a pair for me, and I bought a pair for him.
Yeah.
And we both tried them out that day, and we're hiking out at the same time, and we get back to the truck, and he's like, "Man, it was pretty cold, wasn't it?" He's looking at his phone, telling me it was pretty cold, and I'm like, "Well, what was the temp?" He's like, "It was like -19 with the wind chill on."
Wow.
Really? Didn't feel like that. But
Oh.
that was I remember seeing Mark Kenyon had a post, and I don't know if you follow him or not, but he had a post where he was out hunting trying to get like a target buck or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was listed all the clothing he had on, and it was like 3 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of gloves with a pair of like nitrile gloves on underneath or something. I couldn't remember, and I'm like, holy cow, what the heck? Like, that's a how. My first thought was, how are you even going to draw your bow back, Mark?
Yeah.
Or get up in the tree, and how do your boots fit with the 3 pairs of socks on? But
Yes.
yeah, that totally game changer right
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah,
you're gonna have to get you a pair of those if you're coming back to go whitetail hunt.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be back out there again. So I definitely have have a little list going on of of all the little changes I need to make.
Yeah, that's a good one to add to the list. And like I said, I felt stupid,
Yeah.
so stupid, not ever doing that before. But it's a game changer.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I need that.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all the questions I really had for you.
Okay.
Is you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, yeah. Instagram's where I'm most active. And I think it's just Dayna_Monroe. And then obviously Kifaru is a really good account to follow as well. And I think that's Kifaru_INTL. I do also run that page, so I can help answer any questions on there as well.
So what's the plans if all this COVID stuff goes away before elk season?
Oh,
What
well, hopefully it goes away, but if not, I'll still be out in the mountains hunting something.
unless they shut you down.
Yeah, they'll have to come in the backcountry and find me first. So
I like it. I
yeah,
like that response.
yes.
But so definitely elk hunting, huh?
Yeah, yep, I'll be elk hunting, hopefully have a deer tag. Um, hopefully maybe a later season rifle tag, get into a little bit of that, and then hopefully I'll be out in the Midwest again this year out in Wisconsin, chasing
Nice.
some more whitetails.
That's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
hope you get to do that too.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
Yeah. So it's good talking to you. Thanks for coming on
Yeah.
and sharing some knowledge about some packs and stuff, and definitely your experiences. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And once again, thank you so much for listening to the Publicly Challenged podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please subscribe on whatever platform it is you're listening to. Also, if you could leave a review, that would help us out. And you can check us out on Instagram or at publiclychallenged.com. And once again, thank you so much for listening to the show.